Good morning, class. Today we will discuss about chemical bonding and valence bond theory. Valence bond theory forms the very basis of the nature of chemical bond and the geometry of the molecule. So we will see first what is chemical bonding and then the valence bond theory. Uh, Before the valence bond theory, Vesper theory was proposed, but that is not mentioned in your syllabus. So maybe you are aware about the Vesper theory, that is a valence share electron pair repulsion theory. So that theory was not enough to explain the nature of chemical bonding enough. After Vesper theory, valence bond theory came into existence and it explained the chemical bonding by the concept of hybridization. That hybridization part, I guess you all are so familiar with that. So, first of all, how the chemical bonding takes place. So the shapes of atomic orbitals for electron, we need to look at that. We have s, p, d, and f orbitals in the atom, and all these orbitals they have different shapes. So we know that whenever chemical bonding takes place, especially when it is a covalent bond, you know that the covalent bond actually involves overlapping of the atomic orbitals, right? This is the basic concept of a chemical bond. There is overlapping of atomic orbitals, and then the shared electron pair actually exists with both the atomic orbitals. So all these orbitals they are having different shapes. Like the s orbital, it is spherical and having a nucleus at the center. It is the first orbital around the nucleus. P orbital is dumbbell shape. D orbital is a double dumbbell shape, and it is also having a nucleus or the nodal point at the center. So, what is the nodal point where electron cannot be found? This is the nodal point. So, S, P, D, and F. They again F orbitals. They are having complex geometry. So, all these orbitals are having different type of geometry. Now, when the structure of molecule was seen, simple molecule, you can say that like in case of methane or in case of water molecule there is overlap of atomic orbitals, but how the orbitals having different shape they are getting overlapped, how they are overlapping so effectively and forming a bond. So all of them are having different geometries. So we know that the covalent bond is formed when two atoms approach each other, and at that point, what happens? They come so closely, and a single occupied orbital on one atom overlap a single occupied orbital on the other atom. The simplest model that we have seen is formation of the hydrogen molecule. So here the hydrogen atom, this is having one electron in one s orbital, another hydrogen atom having one electron in the 1s orbital. When they come near to each other, there is overlap of these 1s and 1s orbital, and the two electrons in these two orbitals, two atomic orbitals, they get paired, and there is a formation of a covalent bond. So you say that hydrogen and hydrogen they have a single bond between them. Okay, when one electron pair is involved, you call it a single bond. So each chemical bond actually represent two electrons, right? If it is a double bond, then you will say that two electron pairs or four electrons are involved. If it is a triple bond, then it is the involvement of three electron pairs. So for the formation of such covalent bond, which is formed by the overlapping of the atomic orbitals, two theories were proposed. First was the valence bond theory, and second was the molecular orbital theory. So, molecular orbital theory is a much advanced theory, and it is related to the quantum mechanics as well. And nowadays, we are explaining the chemical bond by the use of molecular orbital theory, because the valence bond theory was having so many limitations. So, this is VBT and MOT. So, in today's lecture, we will discuss VBT. So, VBT is valence bond theory, and what is the basic principle of valence bond theory? A covalent bond forms when the orbitals from two atoms overlap and a pair of electrons occupies the region between the nuclei. Nuclei is because we are talking about the two nucleus, one nucleus, two nucleus. So when you have multiple nucleus, it becomes nuclei. So nuclei are many nucleus. So when the chemical bond is formed, what happens? They have a region between them, the region between the nucleus. It is actually the shared area between the two atoms, and there the electron pair resides. So, according to the quantum mechanics, actually, you cannot locate the electron in any orbital. Okay, you cannot locate the electron. It is actually the probability of finding the electron around the nucleus. So, later on, it was found that this becomes the limitation of the BBT. But yes, it says that between the two nuclei, there is a pair of electron which is occupying the region, and the first thing is opposite spin of the electron pair. So VBT says that valence bond theory. VBT says that the two orbitals, those are approaching to each other. They should be singly occupied. Okay, they should have one electron in them, and they both the electrons, they are having opposite spins. So if one is having a plus half spin, other is having minus half. You know about the spin quantum number. So the spin quantum number is for electron. One electron, it should be plus half s plus half, another s minus half. So when the electrons are having opposite spin and then the atomic orbitals approach each other, what happens? There is pairing of electron, and due to the spontaneous pairing of electron, the energy released is providing the energy for bonding. So the orbitals has a maximum capacity of two electrons that must have opposite spins. So this is a well understood concept that each orbital, it can occupy only two electrons, not more than that. So when the bond formation is taking place, each of the atomic orbital, it should have one electron only, and that also in the opposite spin. So this was the very first postulate of the VBT. The second thing is maximum overlap of bonding orbital. So that is why there is the formation of covalent bond, and it is having certain energy involved with it. So the maximum overlap is taking place between the two atomic orbitals, and the bond strength actually depends on the attraction of nuclei for the shared electron. So this was the theory that the atom, it actually wants to complete its electronic configuration and attain a stable configuration. So therefore, it is looking for the electron. So it goes and it get involved with the overlap with other atomic orbital. So the greater the orbital overlap, stronger will be the bond. So this is another postulate of the VBT. Then third is the concept of hybridization, and it explains the geometry of molecules very well. So what is hybridization? This concept was used to explain bonding in the simple molecules, simple diatomic molecules, triatomic molecules, tetraatomic molecules, simple molecules. The bonding in them, it can be explained by the concept of hybridization. So the example is, first look at the example of hydrogen fluoride, that is HF molecule. So the direct overlap of s and p orbitals of isolated ground state atom. So you have to look at the orbitals of the hydrogen and orbitals of fluorine, or here it is fluoride. So when you look at the s and p orbitals and their configuration, and that also in the ground state, so it is not possible for the molecule to get formed, right? The second example is the methane molecule. Four hydrogen atoms are bonded to a central carbon atom, and the hybridization happens to obtain the correct bond angle. So here also, if you look at the methane molecule, you cannot explain the bond angle of 103.29 degree, that is a characteristic of sp3 hybridization. So earlier, the scientists, they could not explain what is the reason of this angle, why the methane molecule is having that tetrahedral structure. So that was a thing could not be explained by the earlier concept. So Pauling was the scientist earlier, along with the London and Pauling. Maybe you have heard about them. They are also famous for the electronegativity concept they give. So earlier, the London and Pauling they explained the Vesper theory, valence share, valence share electron pair repulsion theory, and after the shortcoming of that theory, they again proposed the BBT and the concept of hybridization. So what Pauling proposed in this theory, he said that the valence atomic orbital in the molecule, they are different from those in the isolated atoms. So you cannot correlate the bonding from those orbitals present in the isolated atoms because they both are different. The atomic orbitals in an isolated atom and atomic orbital in the atom in bonding present in the bonding state, they all are different. So how you will explain the difference between them? There come the concept of hybridization. So here you can see the concept of hybridization, and what is hybridization? It is actually when your atomic orbitals, all the available atomic orbitals, they come together and they redistribute energy, and then they form equal number of atomic orbitals again. So now the newly formed orbital, which have their energy distributed, they are the hybrid orbital, or you say the hybrid orbital, they have energy which is different from the energy of atomic orbital. So what happens here in the hybridization of the orbitals, like you can see here in the diagram, orbital overlap and spin pairing in three diatomic molecules. So here we have hydrogen, 1s and 1s. There is pairing of electron. Then hydrogen fluoride. Again, this is 1s, 1 electron, and in the Z atomic orbital of the fluorine, it has 1 electron only. If you know the electronic configuration of the simple atoms, so you can see that the one electron is in the fluorine atomic orbital, another is the hydrogen. So they get paired, and there is formation of HF. Similarly, in case of fluorine, again the two unpaired electron they got paired, and there is formation of F2 molecule. So these simple assumptions they do not hold true for all the atoms. So the concept of hybridization came into existence. So, what is a hybrid orbital? They are a type of atomic orbital that results when two or more atomic orbitals of an isolated atom they mix and then they redistribute their energy. So the number of the hybrid orbital on a covalently bonded atom is equal to number of atomic orbital used to form the hybrid orbital. So if 1s and 3p orbitals are getting mixed together and again they are redistributing their energy, so a total number of 4 orbitals were involved, right? S and 3p. So these 4 orbitals they will mix together, they will redistribute energy and they will form 4 new hybrid orbitals. Okay, so number of the orbitals those are mixing together and the total number of the resulting orbital they both are same. So sp4 new sp3 hybrid orbitals are formed. Similarly, if 1s and 1p orbitals are getting mixed, then two new sp hybrid orbitals are formed. So the name of the new orbital will be, it is neither S nor P because it has lost its original character. Now it is not having any character of S or P. Rather, it is having a mixed character. So these hybrid orbitals are named after the atomic orbitals which have combined together. So if 1s and 1p orbitals are combining and redistributing their energy, then you call it sp hybridization. The resulting orbitals are sp hybrid orbitals. And since two atomic orbitals have mixed s and p, so you will get two sp orbitals. So these are used to describe the orbitals in covalently bonded atoms. Hybrid orbitals do not exist in the isolated atom. So this concept of hybridization says what? It occurs only when there is bond formation. If there is no bond formation, there is no hybridization. So when the two molecules are approaching each other, two atoms are approaching each other for the purpose of bond formation, then this hybridization will occur. If these two are isolated atoms, then they do not need to undergo the hybridization. So it is actually present only when the covalent bond formation is taking place. Now they have shapes and orientations that are very different from those of the atomic orbitals in isolated atom. So if your isolated atom is containing a spherical shaped s orbital, that shape will not exist in the hybrid orbital, right? Now the shape of the hybrid orbital will be different from the isolated atom. Then in a set are equivalent and form identical bonds. So all the bond lengths should be equal because all the hybrid orbitals they are of similar nature, they are of similar energy, they are equivalent, and therefore when the bond formation will take place, they will form identical bond with identical bond angle as well. Like in case of suppose a sp2 hybridization. So in the sp2 hybridization, 1s and 2p hybrid orbital, 2p atomic orbital, they will undergo the hybridization, and since three orbitals are involved, we will get three hybrid orbitals. Each hybrid orbital will be called sp2 hybrid orbital. So after this hybridization, you will get three sp2 hybrid orbitals, and they are all identical in nature. So when the bond formation will take place, all the bonds will have the similar bond length, and all the bonds, they will have similar bond angle, that is of 120 degree. So this is due to the identical nature of all the hybrid orbitals. Now they are usually involved in the sigma bonds in polyatomic molecules. Okay, so when we talk about the concept of hybridization, this is only and only for the sigma bond. Okay, pi bond usually involve overlap of unhybridized orbital. This is a very important point here. The pi bond does not involve concept of hybridization. So whenever you are seeing the hybridization, it is only and only the sigma bond. Okay, what is pi bond? Suppose I have a double bond in some molecule. Like in case of the ethylene molecule, we have CH2 double bond CH2. So that one single bond, first single bond is the sigma bond, and the second bond is pi bond. So whenever you have multiple bonds between two atoms, first is the sigma bond and all other are the pi bonds. So pi bonds, the formation of a pi bond, it does not require hybridization. It is only formed by the overlap of unhybridized orbital. So in the hybridization, there is mixing or blending of the atomic orbitals to accommodate the spatial requirement in a molecule, and this occurs to minimize the electron pair repulsions when atoms are brought together to form the molecule. So these are the two purposes of hybridization, and it occurs at the time of bond formation. Now let us look at different type of hybrid orbitals. So the first is sp3 orbitals, and we will see here the structure of methane. So in the sp3 hybrid orbital, carbon has, we know that carbon has the electronic configuration, that is the 2s2 and 2p2. Okay, so here you must remember the electronic configuration. So carbon has electronic configuration 2s2, 2p2. It means 4 electrons are present. Now in CH4, the experimental observation, they are saying that all the CH bonds are identical and the molecule is having a tetrahedral shape. So how will we explain this shape and the identical bonds, identical CH bond in the methane molecule? There come the concept of hybridization. So here what happens in the carbon, 1s, that is 2s, okay, and 3p orbitals. 3p orbitals are there in the p. Okay, p orbital has three orbitals, px, py, pz. That you should know, px, py, pz. So we have three p orbitals and one s orbital. So they undergo the hybridization, they mix together, and as a result, we get four equivalent unsymmetrical tetrahedral orbitals, spp. So you get sp3 hybrid orbitals, four in number. This is the 2s atomic orbital of the carbon. This is 2py, 2pz, 2px in all the three coordinates. So when they undergo the mixing process, now four tetrahedral sp3 hybrid orbitals are formed. Now if you carefully look at them, these hybrid orbitals, they do not show any similarity with the unhybridized orbital. Their shape is different, their energy is different, and they are oriented from each other at an angle of 109 degrees. So this is forming a tetrahedral structure. So this is the sp3 hybridization in the carbon, and now what happens? Each electron is present in four of the sp3 orbital. So earlier it was 2s2 and 2p2, right? But now what happens after the hybridization? It becomes 2s1, 2p, sp3 1, sp3 2, sp3 1, sp3 1. मतलब all the four orbitals now they are having one electron each. So generally, you say what you say, the carbon is actually entering into its excited state. This is the ground state electronic configuration, right? 2s2 and 2p2. In the excited state of carbon, what will happen? This is 2s1, 2px1, 2py1, and 2pz1. So all the orbitals s and 3p, they all will have one electron. Then they will go they will undergo the hybridization, and after that all the sp3 will have one electrons each. So this actually explains the structure of methane. The sp3 orbitals on the carbon, they overlap with 1s orbital on 4 hydrogen atoms. So all the sp3 orbitals, they are actually overlapping with 4h atoms, and therefore because the sp3 orbitals, 4 sp3 orbitals on the carbon, they are identical in nature. What happens? All the CH bond will have equal strength, that is 436 kilojoule per mole, and a bond length of 109 pm. So because of the identical nature of the sp3 orbital, all the bond length and bond angles are similar. Each bond angle is 109.5 degree, and this is the tetrahedral angle. So this is the shape of methane molecule, and all the CH bonds are identical, all the CH bond angles are identical, and it is having a shape of tetrahedral. On the similar note, we can also explain the hybridization in nitrogen and oxygen. So, sp3 hybridization can also be used to explain the structure of ammonia and structure of water. So in water, the oxygen is having sp3 hybridization, and in ammonia also nitrogen is having sp3 hybridization. So let us look at the structure of the ammonia. So here you can see ammonia, it is undergoing sp3 hybridization, and with the three sp3 orbitals, you have overlap of other atoms, and the one lone pair exists on the nitrogen. It actually decreases the bond angle due to the repulsion, that is lone pair bond pair repulsion. So whenever we have polyatomic molecules, they can have bond pair electrons, they can have lone pair of electrons. So three type of repulsion exist in them. They can have bond pair repulsion, lone pair bond pair repulsion, and lone pair repulsion. So in the ammonia molecule, there is decrease in the bond angle. Like the identical bond angle was 109.5 degree, but in ammonia it is 107.3 degree, and that is why that is because the lone pair here, it is repulsing the bond pair. There is lone pair bond pair repulsion, which is decreasing the bond angle. Similarly, in case of the water molecule, if you look at the water molecule, oxygen atom, it has two lone pair of electron, and this bond angle is further reduced in the water molecule. So in water molecule, this is 104 degree, further reduced, because now they also have lone pair repulsion. So, because the two lone pairs are present on the oxygen, so bond angle further reduces to 104 degrees. So, here you can see the formation of an alkane. So, this is the structure of ethane. Ethane is C2H6. So, the two carbon atoms present in this molecule, they undergo sp3 hybridization, and each carbon contains 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals. Now, the overlapping takes place. One sp3 of this carbon, one sp3 of this carbon, they are overlapping, right? And the remaining 3 sp3 orbitals on each of the carbon, they overlap with 3 hydrogen each. So one hydrogen, two hydrogen, three hydrogen, 1 2 3 hydrogen. So it becomes what? CH3 and CH3. So C2H6. This is the structure of ethane. Now the CC bond is 154 pm and strength is 376. All the bond angles of ethane are tetrahedral. So this tetrahedral structure of carbon, this can be explained on the basis of sp3 hybridization. Now moving forward, we have sp2 hybrid orbital and structure of ethylene. So in the sp2 hybrid orbital, what happens? One s and two p orbitals are involved. Okay, and one pz orbital remains unhybridized. We have 2s2 and 2p2 configuration of carbon, right? So in this 2s2 and 2p2, only 2p orbitals are getting involved in the hybridization. One p orbital remain unhybridized. So as a result of this hybridization, we will get 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals, and these three sp2 hybridized orbital, they will be oriented at an angle of 120 degree. Why? Because to minimize the repulsion between bond pair and bond pair, so the angle between them will be 120 degree, and that remaining p orbital, which is unhybridized, it will be perpendicular to the plane of 3 sp2 orbitals. So here you can see three sp2 orbitals, they are in the single plane. In one plane they are, and this unhybridized pz orbital, it is perpendicular to this plane. So this is forming an angle of 90 degree with the plane of these hybridized orbital. If you take a top view, then this is the unhybridized orbital, and these are the three sp2 hybrid orbitals. Now what happens? Here the two sp2 hybridized orbital, they overlap to form a sigma bond, and the p orbital, which was unhybridized, the pz orbital, it undergoes side to side overlap to form a pi bond. So electrons in the sigma bond, they are centered between the nuclei, but electron in the pi bond, they are actually delocalized. They occupy the region are on either side of the line between the nuclei. So the electrons are on the above the plane of the molecule and below the plane of the molecule. So this is the structure of ethylene. These are the three sp2 hybrid orbitals on two carbons, okay, and one unhybridized pz orbital. Now when they come close to each other, these two sp2 orbitals on the carbon atom, they will undergo the overlap. So this will be the sigma bond, and these two p orbitals which are unhybridized, they will overlap to form a pi bond. So this pi bond and sigma bond both are formed in the ethylene molecule, and you get a double bond. So ethylene is CH2 double bond CH2. So one bond is the sigma bond, other bond is the pi bond. Now because the sp2 orbitals, they are in the same plane, when the overlap occurs, your molecule will be planar. So here in this diagram you can see all the molecules, two carbon atoms and two hydrogen and two hydrogen, they all are present in the same plane. Same plane means this. They are present at the same plane. No molecule is present above or below this line. They all are having the same plane, and the molecule is what? Having a planar structure. So sp2 hybridization, whenever in organic chemistry, whenever the carbon is forming double bond, like in alkene or in any other type of molecule, whenever a double bond is present, it is always sp2 hybridization of carbon. So here in this structure, the bond length and bond angles are mentioned. A typical carbon-carbon double bond length is 134 pm. Single bond length is 154 pm. So you can notice that the double bond length is shorter than the single bond length, and it indicates that the carbon atoms, they are closer in the double bond than in the single bond. So the bond strength will be greater in case of double bond than in case of single bond. So this is the sp2 hybridization in BF3. BF3, you have the electronic configuration of isolated boron atom. This is 2s2 and 2p. 2p orbitals, pz and py, they are py and pz, they are empty. But when this is the ground state electronic configuration. But when it comes to the excited state, what happens? Now one electron goes here and they undergo hybridization. So 1s and 2p orbitals, they undergo hybridization, and as a result of this, 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals are formed containing 1 electron each. Now these three sp2 hybrid orbitals, they are at the similar plane, forming angle of 120 degree, and each one of them combines with the fluorine p orbitals, and there will be a pairing of electron as a result of this bond. Okay, 1 2p orbital remain empty, and it is present at an angle of 90 degree with respect to the plane of molecule. So what geometry it is? It is a trigonal geometry. Okay, it is like a triangle. And all the molecules, they are present in the single plane. So this is the structure of BF3 molecule. Now sp orbital, so in the sp orbital we can see the structure of acetylene, and in the acetylene there is triple bond, carbon triple bond carbon, so ch triple bond ch. So here there is sp hybridization, 1s and 1p orbital, they undergo hybridization to form 2sp hybrid orbital. The remaining 2p orbital, they remain unchanged. So you can see here, this is sp hybrid orbitals on the carbon atom. They are located at the angle of 180 degree for the minimum repulsion, and the two p orbitals, p y and pz, they are at an angle of 90 degree. Both the p orbitals are perpendicular, okay, on the y-axis and the z-axis. So we have two unhybridized orbital present on the carbon atom when the carbon is having sp hybridization. So what happens when the two carbon atom approaches each other in such hybridization? These are the two sp hybrid orbital, and these are the two unhybridized p orbitals. So when they approach each other, these sp orbitals of the carbon, they overlap and form a sigma bond, right? And the two perpendicular p orbitals, which are free and which are unhybridized, they also overlap sidewise, and this sidewise overlapping result into the formation of a pi bond. So you have two pi bonds here. So what happens? You have triple bond, carbon triple bond, in which one bond is sigma, and the two remaining bonds, they are formed by the sidewise overlapping of p unhybridized orbitals. So you get two pi bonds. This is the structure of acetylene. We have a triple bond between the carbon, and now you can say the bond length is further reduced. It is now only 120 pm. So shorter the bond length, greater is the bond strength. So shorter bond length indicates that now the carbon-carbon bond is much stronger, like in case of ethylene or methane. Then when d orbital is also taking part, it becomes sp3d hybrid orbital, like in case of the PCl5 molecule. So in the isolated p atom, you have this configuration 3s2 and 3p3. When it goes to its excited energy state, one electron jumps here, and now the hybridization is taking place. sp3 and 1d. So 1, 2 and 3, 5. 5 are, orbitals are involved in the hybridization. So as a result of this, you will get 5 sp3d hybridized orbital, all of them containing single electron. And now they will overlap with the chlorine orbital, p orbital of the chlorine atom containing one electron. So there will be the pairing of electron by this overlap, and you will get the sp3d hybridization in PCl5 molecule. Now, when this hybridization occurs, three orbitals are present in the same plane, and two are perpendicular. So this is the equatorial orbital, and these are the axial orbitals. So two types of bond are present, and this geometry is called trigonal and bipyramidal. Trigonal, bipyramidal. So when there is sp3 hybridization, you get trigonal bipyramidal structure. The similar structure is shown by the As53 in the arsenic molecule. Again, the sp3d hybridization is present, and all the sp3 hybrid orbitals, they are overlapping with the p orbital of the fluorine, and there is formation of As5 having the structure trigonal and bipyramidal. This is the formation of AsF5 molecule having the geometry trigonal bipyramidal. Then when another d orbital is involved, it becomes sp3d2, and example is SF6 molecule. So four sp3d2 are orbitals, they are in the same plane at the four corners of a plane, and two are perpendicular. So this is octahedral geometry, which is characteristic to sp3d2 hybrid orbitals. Then formation of SF6. This is also including the sp3d2 hybridization, and this is the formation. So whenever you are asked to explain these things, you need to draw the diagrams and show the clear picture of the geometry of the molecule. So this is the table summarizing the results. Number of electron groups, electron geometry, and hybridization scheme. So when you have two electrons present, it becomes linear. sp hybridization is present. Okay, the bond angle is 180 degree. Then if three electron pairs are there, then the electronic geometry is trigonal planar. Hybridization is sp2, and the bond angle between orbital is 120 degree. When four electron groups are present, the geometry is tetrahedral. Hybridization is sp3, and the bond angle is 109.5 degree. For the 5 electron groups, we have a trigonal bipyramidal geometry, and the bond angle is 120 degree for the 3 orbitals in plane, and 90 degree for the 2 perpendicular orbitals. Lastly, for the 6 electron group, we have octahedral structure. 4 orbitals are in the same plane and 2 are perpendicular. So this is sp3 d2 type of hybridization. Maybe you have read about sp3 d3 hybridization. When the sp3 d3 hybridization takes place, you need to find out the example, and in that case, the structure is pentagonal bipyramidal. So find out the example of that hybridization. Now I have two questions for you. First is you have to use the valence bond theory to write the hybridization and bonding scheme for carbon dioxide. You need to find out what hybridization is present in the carbon dioxide, and then accordingly you have to draw the bonding scheme and the structure and the bond angles. Then what is the hybridization of the central iodine atom in I3? So that also you will find out. Note down these two molecules in your copy. These questions could even come in your exam. So you need to solve these questions carefully. So two molecules are given here: carbon dioxide and iodine 3 minus. So these are the references for today's lecture, and tomorrow we will discuss about the molecular orbital theory. So this valence bond theory was actually already you have studied in the 12th class, and today we just revised those concepts. Tomorrow we will discuss molecular orbital theory, and I would suggest that please go through your 12th class book and have a brief idea of the MOT. So that is all from my side for today. Thank you so much.